The cell door hissed open, and Zira's muscles coiled tight. This was it. 4 days since capture, 4 days of waiting for the screaming to begin. Her commanders had been clear. Humans were monsters who delighted in prolonging suffering. She'd seen the propaganda footage, heard the testimonies. Now she would experience it herself. The human who entered carried a tray. Zira's 3 eyes widened. Food, actual food, still steaming alongside clean water and what looked like medical supplies. The human, a female with dark skin and gentle eyes, set the tray on the small table. "I'm Dr. Lena Foster," she said quietly. "I'm here to check your injuries." Zira said nothing. This was the game then. Feed the prisoner, gain trust, then tear it all away. She'd been trained for this. Elena moved slowly, hands visible. "May I examine your arm? That burn looks infected." "Do what you will," Zira rasped. "I won't beg." Something flickered across Elena's face. Sadness? "I'm not here to hurt you. I'm a doctor. It's my job to heal." The treatment was methodical and surprisingly painless. Elena cleaned the plasma burn that striped Zira's upper arm, applied regenerative gel, and wrapped it in soft bandaging. Her touch was clinical but not cold. When she finished, she gestured to the food. "You should eat. Protein synthesis to help the healing process." Zira stared at the meal. It smelled incredible, nothing like standard rations. "What do you want from me?" "I want you to recover," Elena said simply. "You're protected under the Frontier Accords. No prisoner shall be subjected to torture, deprivation, or degrading treatment." She paused. "I know what you've been told about us, but we follow laws, even in war. Especially in war." After Elena left, Zira ate slowly, waiting for the poison to take effect, for the pain to start. Nothing happened. The food settled warmly in her stomach. The medicine dulled the constant throb in her arm. She lay on the surprisingly comfortable cot and fought against the dangerous emotion trying to surface. Hope. 3 more days passed in the same pattern. Elena visited twice daily, treating wounds, checking vital signs, always explaining what she was doing and why. Pawed. She brought books when Zira mentioned boredom, adjusted the cell temperature when Zira shivered, small kindnesses that made no sense. On the 8th day, a new human arrived. Commander Lewis was tall, with graying hair and eyes that had seen too much. He pulled up a chair and sat across from Zira without barriers between them, without weapons drawn. "I'm not here to interrogate you," he said, "but I think you deserve to know the truth about this war." He showed her files. Video footage, the evidence was devastating and irrefutable. Her empire had struck first, not in defense as she'd been told, but in conquest. The target hadn't been a human military installation, but a colony of Volari refugees, peaceful farmers who'd fled her empire's advance 3 cycles ago. Humans had responded to a distress call, arriving just as her fleet began orbital bombardment. Zira's hands trembled as she watched footage of human ships forming a protective screen around the colony, taking fire meant for civilians below. She saw her own ship's weapons tearing into rescue shuttles marked with medical symbols. "The Volari were one of 7 species asking for our protection," Lewis continued. "Your empire has conquered and enslaved 18 worlds in the past decade alone. We're not fighting you because we hate you. We're fighting because someone has to stop this." "You're lying," Zira whispered, but the words felt hollow. "I wish I were," Lewis said quietly. "Check the metadata yourself. These are your own fleet's logs recovered from damaged ships." He leaned forward. "Zira, your people told you we're monsters because they needed you to fight without question. But look around. Have we tortured you? Starved you? Or have we shown you exactly who we really are?" The wall she'd built around her certainty began to crack. Every interaction suddenly recontextualized itself. The gentle medical care, the respect, the truth shared freely when lies would have been easier. "Why show me this?" she asked. "Because right now your fleet is moving towards Station Harmony. 20,000 civilians, mostly Kelrath families. Your commanders think it's a military hub, but intelligence is wrong. It's a school station, Zira. Children." Lewis's voice remained steady, but his eyes burned with intensity. We've been trying to evacuate, but there isn't enough time. We need to know your fleet's approach vector, their timing, anything that could buy us hours. Zira felt her world tilting. You're asking me to betray my people. I'm asking you to save children, Lewis said. I won't threaten you. I won't bribe you. This is a choice only you can make. But those kids don't have a choice. They're just caught between our militaries waiting to die. He stood slowly. Think about it. Whatever you decide, you'll still receive medical care, decent food, and respect. That doesn't change. You're a person, not a bargaining chip. He left her alone with the weight of 20,000 lives. Zira didn't sleep that night. She replayed every moment of her capture, every conversation, every small kindness. She thought about the propaganda, about the easy lies her commanders had fed her. She thought about Elena's patient hands healing wounds, about Lewis offering her a choice instead of making demands. She thought about children who looked up at stars and dreamed, just like she had once. When Elena arrived the next morning, Zira was already standing. I need to speak to Commander Lewis, she said. I'll tell him everything. The information Zira provided was precise and devastating to her former fleet's plans. Approach vectors, timing sequences, formation weaknesses. Lewis used it to position evacuation ships perfectly, slipping them past sensor gaps Zira identified. When her fleet arrived at Station Harmony, they found it empty, every single civilian already light years away. Zira watched the evacuation footage from her cell, tears streaming down her face. Human pilots had flown repeated runs into dangerous space, risking everything for strangers. Some hadn't made it back. They died protecting people her empire considered inferior, disposable. They were volunteers, Elena said softly, standing beside her. Every single one knew the risks. Why? Zira's voice broke. Why would they die for aliens they'd never met? Because it's right, Elena said simply. Because those kids deserved a chance to grow up. Because if we won't stand up for the helpless, what's the point of all our strength? Over the following weeks, Zira did something she'd never imagined. She talked to other captured soldiers, sharing what she'd learned, showing them the evidence. Some refused to listen, clinging to comfortable lies, but others, like her, felt the weight of truth and made different choices. Intelligence flowed. Human forces used it not for devastating counterattacks, but for surgical strikes against military targets, always minimizing casualties. The war turned not through superior firepower, but through the slow erosion of justification. Freed slaves told their stories. Neutral species shared testimony. Her empire's narrative collapsed under the weight of evidence, and public support back home crumbled. The ceasefire came 4 months after Zira's capture. Her empire agreed to release all conquered worlds and face accountability for war crimes. The alternative was continued conflict they could no longer justify to their own people. Commander Lewis visited Zira's cell one final time, but he didn't come alone. Behind him stood representatives from the Valari, the Kelrath, and 5 other freed species. You have a choice, Lewis said. We can arrange transport back to your homeworld, or you can accept asylum here. We're building a coalition for peacekeeping and humanitarian aid. We could use people who understand both sides, who can help prevent this from happening again. Zira looked at the faces around her, former enemies offering not punishment but partnership. I killed people, she said quietly. I followed orders, but the blood is still on my hands. Yes, Lewis acknowledged, and you'll have to live with that. But you also saved 20,000 lives and helped end a war. Redemption isn't about erasing the past. It's about choosing better for the future. He extended his hand. So what do you choose? Zira reached out slowly and gripped his hand. The gesture, so simple and human, felt like a covenant. I choose better, she said. 6 months later, Zira stood on the bridge of a humanitarian vessel coordinating relief supplies for a Valari settlement still recovering from occupation. Elena worked in the medical bay below. Lewis commanded the escort fleet, ensuring safe passage through contested space. Former enemies now worked side by side, united by something stronger than any weapon. Zira had expected death from humans. She'd been taught to fear their cruelty, their savagery, their endless capacity for violence. Instead, she discovered their true strength, an unshakable conviction that anyone, even an enemy, even a killer, could choose to be better. That belief, offered freely even to those who didn't deserve it, had the power to transform not just individuals, but entire civilizations. She looked at the stars ahead, no longer symbols of conquest, but possibilities for peace, and understood finally what it meant when humans said they fought for a better future. They didn't just fight against darkness. They fought to prove that light could exist anywhere in anyone if given the chance, even in a soldier who'd come to kill them, especially in her.